Hey, everybody. Can't wait to share this next episode. It's my good buddy, Ryan Ray. Huge local talent, musically, artistically, professionally. Grew up with this guy. We played a lot of high school sports together, basketball, volleyball. Very, very good friend of mine. We have a lot of mutual good friends, and we've stayed in touch over the past several decades. But looking forward to kind of sharing his story with you. He's a local Townville guy, went to Maplewood. Like I said, we played basketball and volleyball together. We were Maplewood Tigers together. We sweated through a lot of practices together, and we've maintained our close friendship since then. And he's got a great wife, great story, great career, and he's just so musically inclined as well. You're going to get a little bit of all that. So make sure to stay tuned because you're going to get to see and hear his story, but you're also going to get to hear what he does best, which is play music. So stick around. We'll see you soon.
All nurses to the nurses station.
Lawless country people are real close family. Lately, some of my kinfolk don't get around too good, you see. When that doctor asked them, son, how'd you get in this condition? They says, hey, soft bones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. They want to know, Doc, why do you think I got some pain in my joints from years of playing hard in this life that's too short? When that doctor asked me, son, how'd you get in this condition? I says, hey, soft bones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me all about it, Doc.
Hey, everybody. Ryan Molly here, and welcome to Hey Sawbones, My Story, My Passion. I'm your host, orthopedic surgeon, entrepreneur, cutter of bones, business owner, and most importantly, loving husband, father of 3 young boys, and really excited about tonight's episode. I have a very close friend from kind of years past. As you could probably tell by some of my vintage clothes that I'm wearing, this is kind of like, is this nylon or polyester? But whatever it is, it's not comfortable, and it's going to produce some chafage, and that's all cool and it's all good. But this guest that I have today is one of my best friends from childhood growing up. We went to elementary school together. We went to junior high. We went to high school. We played all kinds of sports growing up, basketball, volleyball. We played in 3-on-3 tournaments. We ended up hanging out a lot in college together too. He went to Penn State Barron, was an engineering major there. And I just have a tremendous amount of respect for him. He's a great individual, super smart, super successful. He was a great athlete growing up and love him to death. I think his family is just a great staple for the kind of Townville, Meadville community. And really just excited to have him share his story for you guys today. So without further ado, Mr. Ryan Ray.
It's great to see you, Ryan.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
So as we always start these episodes off, let's hear a little bit about kind of like you, where you're from, where you grew up, kind of your family, and kind of what makes you who you are, kind of the fiber of Ryan Ray's being.
Fiber of my being. Well, first off, I want to say that if I had my warm-up, I might fit around my arm right now at this point in my
Right,
life.
this is tight. We've all gotten bigger. This is tight, so don't let it fool you.
No, not at all. Not at all. I can. It's a little cold in here, obviously.
Wow, the gloves are off. This is going to be a good episode, by the way. Karen, do you have any Band-Aids we could get down?
Yeah, the fiber of it. So, really, at heart, I'm a country boy. That's what I am. I love where we're from. I love I'll call it the upbringing or the community we got to grow up in, and all of that imprinted onto me from a very, very young age all the way through, and has kind of, I'll say, really helped become who I am today. Right? We had a wonderful small town upbringing where, you learned to work hard. Right? You learn to contribute to the community. Socially, it was a wonderful place, really, to be a kid. Right? So
it was pretty safe.
yeah, it was. It totally was. Right? Back in the day, you'd jump on your bike and see it dark, Ma.
Yeah, you'd have to drive like 3 or 4 miles to find your closest friend because that was the next house.
Yes.
That was the closest house to you.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So you'd find a trail in the woods and you got to learn the woods a little bit. That's kind of how it worked, right? And because of that, everybody played that I really remember when we were growing up, everybody participated in sports and more than one sport, right? Because of, you're at a smaller school. Not everybody, for the most part, people tried different things when you were growing up. So, that. And
you were super athletic growing up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Right up until I found out I had, ankles like my 95-year-old grandma. I very much enjoyed our time playing sports together, man. I've a lot of great memories there. A lot of great memories. But yeah, I mean, after that, of course, I went to school. When I was growing up, one reason or another, when I was a real little kid, like everybody, I wanted to be a professional athlete, right? But as I got a little bit older, I had an uncle who was an engineer and was going to Pitt. He was going down in Pittsburgh to be a chemical engineer. And I thought, wow, maybe I can be an engineer, right? So and I was okay in school, right? I was pretty
smart
decent.
kid.
Yeah, I was okay in school. So, that gave me some confidence to leave the nest and try to do something different. So, lots of trials and tribulations, from then to now. You mentioned a lot of traveling, a lot of different things.
Music's big for you, right?
Yes, absolutely. So now on the music side, that's something that came from my family also. Right. When I was growing up, my dad was always playing music, was always in bands. We'd go to family reunions, and it was a good picking and grinning time. And it was weird. It didn't even matter if it was like my dad's side of the family or my mom's side of the family. We'd go to a family reunion, and people are passing around instruments. Right? That's just how it worked. So that's something I got exposed to at a pretty young age, and it's been one of those lifelong gifts, I guess I'll call it. You learn to do something like that. You can always sit down and entertain yourself for a little bit. So through the years too, after college, I traveled around the country playing music with some great guys from the area. Had an absolute blast. A lot of stories there. Some we're not going to talk about.
We won't talk about a lot of them, but we'll talk about some of them. I mean, I love giving shout outs to just local people, local traditions, but one that just literally came to the top of my brain when you said that was Mark Maloney.
Oh,
he was your percussionist, right?
Yes, yeah. He played drums for us. We were in a band called Paper Street together. Mark is a fantastic guy.
Kid could jump out of the gym too.
Yes,
by the way.
Yes. For being Mark's probably 5'7", 5'8", but for teasing him for being 5 foot tall, he could jump up and grab onto the rim with both hands, and yeah, it was incredible.
Mark, if you're listening, both of us were always impressed with your vertical jump. And you're just energy. Great guy, great energy.
Wonderful.
Not only on the volleyball court, but also when he was behind a set of drums too.
Oh, yeah, he was a great drummer, and he was a really good friend. He was a lot of fun to play music with. Those years when we were traveling around, Mark was playing drums for us. A guy from out General McLean Way named Brad Williams played guitar for us. Phenomenal guitar player. Another great guy. Met him actually in the engineering program at Penn State. That's how we met. Our bass player at that time is an individual named Scott Lee. Actually, he spent the last 20 years being being a minister out. Yeah, oh yeah. So after touring around in a rock band for all that time, he went to seminary. And he was a minister out in the Philadelphia area for the last 20 years.
Wow.
Yep. And then through those times we we got to do a lot of fun things. We got to go see a lot of cities, got to see a lot of the country. Got to record albums. We got to record an album in Nashville. Back in the day. You were
telling me about that earlier, and
it just some of the people that you meet and that you get to play with, and it's phenomenal. A few years after while we were traveling there, Scotty went away and decided he was going to have a little bit of change in life, and decided that he was going to go to seminary, and he moved out to California to do that. And then we had a guy from Fort LaBeouf area. Tanner Edwards, still one of my best friends to this day. Great guy. Stepped in, phenomenal bass player, and we had a lot of fun. We played music together for a long time. We're actually
was he part of Paper Street too?
He was, yeah. He started playing with us, I think, sometime in 2005, I think, right around there, and he was with us for 10 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just remember going to concerts in the area, watching you guys perform. And Ryan, I may have told you this, I may not have, but super proud of you for everything you've ever accomplished. Because when you were up on that stage and you were performing, I just remembered, I was like, this is my guy. This is my buddy. This is my shooting guard bud that we used to go out and jack up a bunch of threes. And Rick Gilberto would be like, what are you guys doing? Get the ball into the post. We're like, no. The three ball's worth more. Yeah, but, it's 3 versus 2.
But coach, I was open. I was open.
And both you and I had a bad disease. It was called, we never met a shot at we didn't like.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you remember, this is one of the questions I always ask all my guests. And the fact that we grew up together, but do you remember the first time we ever met?
Oh man,
probably difficult.
It
was probably like a basketball camp or something like that.
Probably the Maplewood basketball camp when we were young. Is what I'm thinking. Because
you were a year younger than me, so it wasn't like we were in the same grade,
right?
But we were obviously exposed to each other, and then once we kind of met, I remember, I think you were in 8th grade and I was in 9th grade when we were on the 9th grade team. You played up, and we became much closer then. And then that point on, I just felt an instant connection to you.
One of the memories that
I remember Connie Molly's watching this, so
no, one of the memories that I couldn't forget. Hi, Mrs. Molly. That I couldn't forget even if I wanted to. I remember, and it seems small now, right? But it was that year I was a freshman. And you were a sophomore, and we were playing at Union City. And at that time, I don't think either of us made it into the rotation quite yet. And the JV game was over or whatever, and we're sitting there and we're watching the varsity game, and Ashley Orris starts lighting it up. And the whole time we're like, there's no way he didn't just take that shot.
Was this the game where he scored 49 points on us?
Yes. He scored 49. And literally, I remember at the end of the game, we're both looking at each other like, what do you think he had? And I'm like, you looked at me, you're like, I bet you had 25. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I bet you had 20, maybe 27. And then we saw the box score.
We were off by 20, almost 25 points. He was literally pulling up from just across half court.
Yes, he was. And he was hitting everything. He was in everything. And he shot 1 million free throws. Yes.
It was one of those games where you just kind of feel the momentum and the zone. And we had those games, never 49 points worth.
No. Ashley was a good player.
I mean,
Ashley
if we had 25, 30 points, we were like, dang, that was a heck of a game. But 49 points in a high school game.
Right.
And other than free throws, that was the closest that he ever came to the basket when he was shooting, because he was shooting 30, 35 footers and just draining them on us.
He hit a lot of threes.
That was the old gym too, right? Where
in Union City,
the bench was against the wall. There was no bleachers behind us.
All the bleachers were on the other side.
Yeah.
And some of them were like up on an elevated.
Yeah, it was like a 2-tier type of thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I never, I've never forgotten that. And mostly the reason I didn't forget it was because our banter back and forth throughout the entire game. I literally remember it was like color commentary and play-by-play going on from the bench. And then by the end of it, I mean, coaches were looking at us because it was almost like, who are you rooting for here?
We were
because
almost,
every time you hit a deep shot, we'd be like, whoa!
Yeah, we were almost like fans. We were like, yeah, baby. Well, sorry.
yeah, exactly. That's what I remember about it. That's one of those great high school memories.
You thirsty?
When am I not?
Yeah. So, I mean, as part of this, we always do the beverage break before we kind of get into the Q&A session. So, as you all know, I always ask my guests kind of what their favorite drink is. And Ryan's kind of a brother from another mother with regards to my taste buds in terms of beer. He's an IPA guy. Mm-hmm. And he texted me earlier today. I said, hey, what's your favorite beer? He said, I like Lavery's Dualicon. And I was like, dang, that's a good one. So,
absolutely.
Ready for a little Dualicon?
Oh, it sounds amazing. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So, you and I have spoken before about kind of the ground rules of what we're going to do here in terms of the questions. And by the way, here you go.
Thank you, sir.
It's a cool can too. I kind of like the greenness of it. Very
local brew.
It's local, but it looks like it's not from here to me.
No.
I like the color combo, different shades of green.
Good artwork.
What do you call these little lines above the letters? It makes it look like it's like Spanish or something, right? Like
it's got
fancy.
like the accents on it anyway.
Yeah, so this is Dualicon, by the way. Cheers.
That's delicious stuff right there.
Really good. So, as we talked about, 6 questions each, 3 business, 3 personal. The one thing I didn't mention to you, you may have seen it on previous episodes, is the fact that you can always veto a question, right? But again, to date, no one has ever vetoed a question, so no pressure.
Oh, yeah, okay. So yeah,
you fire away first. Do your business questions, and then ask me the personal questions.
Okay, so business questions first. Okay.
You got it. Business in the front, party in the back.
So, all right. So, the first question I got. So I had a friend in college. After college, when he was in his early 30s, he had a condition and he had to have a hip surgery. Okay, and my question is, how many times in your lifetime can you have something like that happen? Because obviously, when you have a hip replaced or a knee replaced, right? There's a period of time, depending on how much activity and how much stress you put it through, that it lasts, right? Before you have to have that done again. And I don't know anything about it, but I'm assuming that it requires cutting of some bone and things like that. And there's only so many times you can cut things, and there's probably some degenerative effects. So, if you have that done when you're 30, that to me sounds like somebody's got to do something in their late 40s and then their early 60s, and then in their so
almost like an annuity, but a bad annuity.
Exactly. It's like 15 more years before I gotta do that again.
Yeah. So, I mean, the length of how long a hip or knee replacement will last there's no number, right? I can give you some numbers, but they'd be just blatant lies. I think if a well-done hip or knee replacement is performed where the parts are put in at the position that they should be put in for that particular individual, and that individual takes care of it. And I don't, by the way, put any restrictions on any of my patients. So if you want to run, if you want to jump, if you want to go run 2 or 3 miles a couple of times a week to get your endorphins up, keep a healthy weight, I'm fine with that. I think a lot of the literature will show you that these implants should last a long time. They're not going to last forever. They're man-made materials, metal and plastic and ceramic. The easy number that we have that we tell our patients is 1% failure rate per year of life. A little bit more optimistically, it's 0.5 to 1%, right? But we'll just use 1% for ease of the argument here. So at 1 year after your hip or knee replacement, there's a 99% chance that your hip or knee replacement will still be in and functioning well and you doing well with it. At 2 years, it's 98%. At 3 years, it's 97%, and so on and so forth. Now, again, keep in mind that it's actually 0.5 to 1. So it's actually a little bit better than that. It's half or 2 times as good as that. But that being said, I've never met a hip or I've never met a knee that I couldn't fix with some degree of surgery. That doesn't mean that like you want to keep going back and doing more and more surgeries. Like for me, my goal is to do one operation, do it the best I can and make it last as long as I possibly can make it last, right? But if and when it fails, if the metal parts are still good and they're still functioning and they're still attached to the bone and there's no bone loss, you can theoretically go in and just change the polyethylene insert and hopefully get another 15 to 20 years if that's what they got the first time. If there's bone loss or if there's infection or if they fracture or this or that, and there's multiple reasons for failure of hip or knee replacement implants, we have to get a little bit more creative and we have to start using things, especially bone loss. That's like our biggest, enemy when we're dealing. Infection, number one, but bone loss that is not secondary to infection is like the second hardest thing to treat. And we have to get creative by replacing that bone loss with either metal or cement. And, we can use screws to kind of function like rebar with cement, or we can use metal augments to kind of fill those defects. I just did a revision knee replacement on a gentleman last week. He had this knee replacement done, I think about 6 or 7 years ago at an outside facility. The femoral component was completely loose. And he had a ton of bone resorption behind the femoral component to the point where I thought it was going to be much more extensive than it was. It was still a very, very big revision knee operation, but I had used a combination of augments, so big metal blocks that I put on the backside of the implant to kind of make up for that gap between the metal and the bone. And I had to put some screws in that bone to kind of hold the cement and strengthen the cement almost like rebar would. So I guess long answer to your question is like there's no like age limit, there's no number of times. It's just like where there's a problem, there's a solution. The ultimate, which is like what none of us ever want to do, is we can do a total femoral replacement where we literally take out the entire femur. We put a hip replacement above and we put a knee replacement down below. They don't function tremendously well. There's a lot of dead space because the muscles and tendons can't reattach to that metal.
To the material.
Yeah. And there's a high incidence of infection and failure rate on that. But we try everything we can before amputation is really kind of like the last, salvage procedure.
So I mean, over that time period, if there is any degeneration, does the leg, does it literally shorten?
It can, yeah, especially if there's bone loss and the implants become loose, they can start to shorten. Like on this particular individual, I don't know how he was walking because when I went in, like his femoral component was completely loose. Usually I have to work to get it off. It can appear loose on the x-rays, but you still have to work to detach it. This one, there was no work whatsoever. I made the incision, opened his knee up, and I pulled it out with my fingers. That's how loose it was because there was so much bone loss there. But yeah, you can get shortening of the limb with that.
So, I got to imagine, I'm just thinking about, engineering mindset on this. So, whenever I have a system that's functioning right, and I do have some issue like that, then, that's just going to move a problem, right? So so is there a place that normally, that you normally, so if a situation like that starts to happen with somebody and it's going to cause them some type of limp, right? Or it's going to cause them some type of odd movement in their walking or their running, where's the next place that's going to, is it the back? Is it the other knee? Is it the other hip? Is it their lower extremities? Like where? Yeah,
that's a great question. Whether it's an arthritic joint or it's a joint that's replaced that isn't doing well, you're always going to affect the joint above and the joint below. So the forces are going to go either to the ankle joint or probably more commonly to the hip joint, and then the hip joint to the back, right? The SI joints and the lower lumbar spine. So it is a chain. Everything's connected. The leg bone's connected, the hip bone's connected to the pelvis.
I've heard that song.
Yeah. And by the way, maybe we can do a version of that a little bit later when you break a guitar up. But Yeah, you're going to start to stress other joints, and you may start to stress your other knee, right? If we're talking about a knee replacement that has failed, you may start to favor it and limp and start to put more stress on your opposite knee and cause that to degenerate quicker too. So it's complex, but
Yeah.
you know, where there's I always tell my boys this, and I tell my staff this: where there's a problem, there's a solution.
Okay.
So is that one question, or is that?
Well, I don't know. That can be as many questions as you want it to be. But that was that's
we'll give
interesting.
you 1.5 for that.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, okay. So next professional question. So you're an entrepreneurial type guy, right? I like to think of myself also as one. So I just think back to some of my own experiences and what it makes me wonder about you, because I know you got a lot going on. What opportunity? Because opportunities are all about timing. Sometimes timing doesn't work. Timing is actually probably one of the most important things that
I think timing's everything.
right. So what opportunity did you miss out on that you regret?
Oh gosh, the NBA.
Well, that wasn't a timing problem, buddy. I love you and all, but that wasn't a timing issue.
It was. I wasn't quick enough. I wasn't fast enough. I couldn't jump high enough. It was just timing. I hit my peak a little later, Ryan.
Yeah.
You just didn't realize that. No. In all seriousness, gosh, I mean, and I'm not saying this like arrogantly at all. Like, I don't feel like I missed out on any worthwhile. Now, if you brought me back to a moment, there was obviously disappointments, right? Where something didn't work out. And at that time, I probably was crushed because I was just like, gosh, I have my whole life planned around this, and I was planning to do this, and it didn't work out. And I would say, well, the timing wasn't right. But everything like that happened, there was always another opportunity that came across right on the heels of it that ended up not only working out, but working out more in my favor. So I honestly, I can't think of any particular opportunities where timing, there were times where, I would say, like, whether it was a business opportunity and I was like, gosh, this seems amazing. This seems awesome. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't work out because the timing wasn't right. Maybe I thought it was right for myself, but maybe it wasn't right on the other end. But when I've had more time to reflect on that, it probably wasn't right on anybody's end. And the things that have worked out either worked out a little slower than I thought they would have or wanted them to. And the timing at the time seemed like, gosh, this doesn't seem like great timing. But when it all came together, it was like, I'm a firm believer, and I'm not trying to get too spiritual here, but like, I truly believe that like things will happen when God wants them to happen and when God's ready for them to happen. And if you try to push it, and it's not the right time, it's just, it's like trying to push a heavy cart uphill when you have no help to do it.
You're Sisyphus, right?
You're fighting like physics, right?
Yeah, that was Sisyphus, right? The pushing the rock up the hill, right, for it only to come back down.
Yeah,
do it every day and then get his eyes pecked out by,
exactly
by the birds, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'll give you one half more business question, or one more business question.
So, all right. Well, so you've done a lot of amazing things, right? You opened up the surgery center and everything. I'm very proud of you, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, very proud of you, Ryan. Now, this might be a little bit of a cliche question, but it depends on how you take it, right? So, right now you've got an amazing thing going, right? And there's a lot more opportunities out there in life, right? You're very good about putting yourself out there to be available for the opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So, if you can say, because maybe you can't, because maybe there isn't anything, or maybe there is something, what's the next one?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's always opportunities, right? And with having 3 young boys, one of my big things that I always say to them is like, when that door gets knocked on, you have two choices. You can either ignore it. Well, I guess you have three options. You can ignore it blatantly. You can look to see who it is and choose to ignore it or open it, or you can just open it without even looking, right? I'm probably the middle guy where I'll look and I'll take calculated risks to see what the opportunity is. But one of the things that I always pride myself on is like, there is no harm in having a conversation with somebody or an organization to see what those opportunities may be.
Well, what do you have in the works right now? Do you have anything in the works right now?
Yeah. Oh, there's always things in the works. Yeah. I'm also pretty big on like stealth mode, right? Like, so I try to fly under the radar until it's time to like make an announcement. And even though there's no announcements, it doesn't mean that there's nothing happening.
Is that your way of saying ixnay on the question A?
No, I'm not vetoing it. I'll just say that there are
Kind of sound like a veto. I'm saying
there are some very interesting, exciting projects that I'm working on right now that are looking more into delivering healthcare to a broader range of people, organizations, businesses, but kind of to the degree that I've kind of like modeled my entire practice after was just like, it's almost like, think about concierge medicine, think about like medical tourism, think about, VIP type services. So it's like doing things a level above what most people would think of healthcare as, because I truly believe that the healthcare system in this country is 100% flawed. I think that the healthcare insurance industry is 100% flawed, and it will crumble. It will crash within the next couple years. And honestly, within the next couple weeks, I plan to kind of like unveil an opportunity or my next vision of what I think can be maybe not the fail-safe like solution for all, but I do think it will play a major role in this country. And if not on this planet, because I think the United States is like, we're in a real tight situation, but there's other countries that are not far behind us with the healthcare crisis that we have. And bringing healthcare to that next level so that people can get great healthcare at affordable costs is one of my lifelong missions.
Yeah. There is, a lot of people have different ideas about how to fix the quandary, I'll call it, that we're in the country, specifically on the healthcare side. Yeah, I'll tell you, I used to, not long ago, worked with some folks from Canada. They would kind of lived in Buffalo, and I worked in downtown Buffalo, and I had a lot of folks that would come across to work in Buffalo from Fort Erie and across
even Toronto,
Ontario.
maybe.
Oh yeah. From basically from the Ontario area, and they would all tell me the same thing. They would all say the same thing. Like they pay a significant amount of tax, right? These individuals were paying 40% of their pay, and it's not, let's put it this way. They weren't on the end of the graduated system that would say they should be paying 40%.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not, let's just,
it's not like the United States where they're
right. No. It's not like they were making more than $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 a year to put themselves in that tax bracket. No. Nothing like that at all. These were working class folks. And whenever they had a serious health issue, they were weeks, if not months, before they could see anybody. And if they had to go for any emergency type stuff, I mean, literally they would, everybody, hey, I go to the emergency room. I was there for 6 hours. No, I'm telling you, they're there for 4 days.
Yeah, it's miserable.
It's terrible. So if there's something serious happened, they would literally come over to the United States and figure out how they could see somebody here.
Yeah, and they would pay for it.
And they would
right?
absolutely,
and,
yes.
And it was about making it make sense for them. Mm-hmm. I had that in Detroit when I was in practice there because...
coming across the bridge, right?
Yeah, we would have them come across the bridge and from Windsor, and they'd be willing to pay cash to have their hip or knee replaced because in Canada, currently, the wait time is 18 to 24 months for hip or knee replacement. 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
year and a half to 2 years.
Doesn't surprise me. I know one of the individuals. They're a couple of the guys I knew. They were twins, right? They were in their 50s. They were twins. Great guys. And one of them was having an issue with his eye. He was like starting to lose his vision in his eye, and he couldn't get in to see somebody for 8 weeks. He's going blind. He's losing his vision. He's got compression. He's got swelling, and they told him, "We'll see you. About 8 weeks. What am I going to do? Just lose my vision?"
Yeah,
right.
You get two eyeballs, right?
Yeah. So they're really. What's going on up there is not a better system. That's for sure. And that comes from the people that live it. Okay. That's not just me saying that.
Yeah, no, I'm, and again, I'm not trying to get political, but people that think that socialized medicine is the cure, just call anybody in Canada and say, hey, what do you think of socialized medicine? Because I guarantee they're probably not fans. Exactly.
And I knew quite a few of these folks, right? Because because of living so close, right? And a lot of people worked in Buffalo. And they all pretty much said the same thing.
Yeah,
all of them.
It's a crisis. So, well, let's make it a little lighter conversation.
Sorry.
I mean, I can talk about that all day. I mean, that is a huge passion of mine. But personal questions.
So one of the things that I always wondered was if you didn't take this path, right?
You're stealing my question.
No,
I'm going to ask the same question, but
but if you didn't take this path, what was number two, right? What was if say med school doesn't work out, or this isn't what am I going to do? What do I feel passionate about to do other than this? Because everybody's got things.
Yeah.
Right?
So there wasn't a backup plan. I can tell you that. It was, this is going to work. I'm going to make it work. Period. End of discussion. Failure is not an option. But that doesn't mean that there's not other things in my head that I would have enjoyed doing. And if I had to do it all over again and go back in time. But at that time, it wasn't like, all right, I'm going to do this. And if I don't get accepted or if that doesn't work out, I'm going to do this. Because I didn't have any of those plan B wheels in motion. But it would have been something along the lines of like architectural engineering. I would have loved to have been an architect. I love designing things, whether it was my office, whether it was this basement, whether it was I like artistic stuff. I like engineering. I like building things. I like creating things. So it's just like I was saying that to you earlier. It's just like, I just have a creative side to me that I really, really enjoy, like building something from nothing.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. It's commendable. I can understand, right? I have a creative piece of myself.
You definitely do, yeah.
that I enjoy. So no, I get that. All right, cool. That's good. All right, next question. So, this is more so out of all you've got to travel obviously a lot of places because of your profession, right? So, where is some place you haven't gone yet that you want to?
Great question. Everybody that's always asked me a similar question has said, where's your favorite place to go?
Now,
right?
you've already been there. You've been there, right?
Been
where haven't you gotten to yet that you're like, I'm going to get there?
Yeah. Gosh, it would be probably someplace very tropical. Like I've always wanted to go like South America. And I know these aren't necessarily close to one another, but like either Brazil or like Argentina, Chile. I mean, they're in the same continent, not necessarily geographically close. Or I would love to go like to Thailand. Yeah, like I love culture. I love architecture. I love nature. And to be able to like embrace a different culture that is very, very different from what we're used to. And to just like kind of take that in. And that's where like the South America, I mean, Thailand too is just like, you get the nature aspect of it too. And I know you've been over to Asia, but like Japan too would be another really hot ticket item on my to-do list, bucket list that I haven't done yet.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. Another individual we went to high school with, Brian Scullin, lives in Okinawa. He's lived in Okinawa for a long time.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Boompei Sasaki, you remember him? He was a
The foreign exchange student. Yeah.
yeah, he was my year. We stayed in touch for a period of time afterwards, but I would love to reconnect with him and go over and take my family and just embrace that culture.
Yeah. You yeah. Did you watch all the Cobra Kai stuff?
Oh, every single episode. Every single episode. Yeah. Last one.
All right, last question. All right. So this is similar, but this isn't, where haven't you gone that you want to go? This is more in 10, 15 years. What's Ryan Molly doing?
Boy, you're just like, you must have watched some of these episodes. I usually do that at the end, but I usually ask my guests that. No one ever asked me that question. So 10, 15 years, 10 years, I'm probably still here doing what I do right now. Probably not like I'm doing it right now. Hopefully better. Just because of family, right? So like the boys and Karen are so important to me. So I can't see myself relocating before 10 years. 15 years, maybe. But I want to be able to do orthopedic surgery as long as I enjoy it, as long as I'm still really good at it, and as long as people want me to still do it for them, right? Like I'm a huge advocate for like not going beyond your time, knowing when the right time is to kind of hang it up, whether it's Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, like I want to be in that category of like legendary orthopedic surgeons. But
so don't be Shaq.
Yeah. Don't be Shaq. Don't be
Patrick Ewing.
Don't be, and maybe, Jordan, he came back out of retirement. You can maybe put his name in there a little bit, but like when you're the GOAT, you can still kind of like get away with a little bit of that because he was still averaging 24 points a game. So he was still contributing, but it was kind of ugly to watch. So I don't want to be ugly to watch. I want it to be like smooth, crisp, but there's probably not going to ever come a point until I'm like either demented or not able to physically work, where I won't be doing something business related, right? Like I love creating things. I love trying to make things better, whether it's consulting, whether it's, just building businesses and all that goes with that. That's very, very invigorating to me. So I see myself doing that for the long haul. Real estate, I really like that. But family is super important to me too. So I envision myself in the next 10 to 15 years traveling a lot more, probably having another place to kind of call home, not full time, but a little getaway. And culturally, I'm a huge fan of like who I am and where I'm from. I've been to Italy multiple times. I've seen where my father's side of the family is. I'd love to see where my mother's side of the family kind of comes from and visit those areas. And next summer, we're planning to go to Greece to see where my wife's family's from and to just build those relationships with those people and to expose my kids to that.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's cool. It's a good space to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty low pressure too.
Yeah.
You ready to turn the tables here?
Oh, hey, sure.
So business first.
Okay. All right.
So let me ask this question before I ask my first question. What would you say your job title is for what you do on a daily basis? I know you're kind of a plant manager, but
so I've like pretty much the last 15 years ish. I've been running operations for companies for the most part. Prior to that, was engineering, quality. I've dominantly in my professional career, outside of like private business stuff that me and my wife do, I've worked in manufacturing, right? So, realistically, there's a lot of process development that has to happen, right? There's a there's a lot of leadership that has to happen, right? I mean, manufacturing, you're nothing without the machines are nothing without the people to make the things happen, right?
Yeah.
So, so right now, that's a good way to put it. My title is plant manager. And the last place I was at, I ran multiple of their plants. That was a great company called Power Drives. They're located out of Buffalo. Now I'm working for a company here. They're called Tech Tank. They wonderful group of people. An individual named Brock.
What is the name again?
Tech Tank.
Tech Tank. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, like Shark Tank, but tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was actually started. It's a really good story. It was started here in the 2000 teens by an individual named Brock Allen, who he basically has a master's in plastics engineering. It's a injection molding shop, and he started a business where they were taking people's ideas and kind of bringing them to life and making them manufacturable. And after a while, he sort of realized that a lot of people have ideas and they got less money to come with it, right, to help make it happen. So a lot of people started asking him, "Can you make this stuff for me?" Right? So he started buying some machines and started making products. And next thing you know, which I think is wonderful because, again, coming from Northwest Pennsylvania, my heart's in Northwest Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Right? That's where my heart's at. And, I love seeing somebody start a business that's going to provide jobs and it's going to provide, to the tax base and it's going to provide, it's good for the area. So while I was working up in Buffalo, a mutual friend put us in touch. A gentleman named Mike Burrows, good buddy of ours.
I know that guy.
Yeah.
Future podcast guest.
Yeah. So Mike put me and Brock in touch with each other, and Brock was like, "Yeah, I'm growing a business here, and I could definitely use all the good help I can get." So we talked, and next thing you know, I'm moving back to Pennsylvania. So, but we're the company is a growing company. So some days I'm the plant manager, some days I'm IT, some days I'm HR, some days I'm
you wear multiple hats.
Yeah. That's how it goes. It's a small group of guys that are running a shop that now they're just over 100 employees.
So you obviously, again, you said it yourself. You wear multiple hats.
Absolutely, and I always really have. Most of them.
Yeah. So where do you see? Because we all get what we have from somebody or something, whether it's undergrad, whether it's our parents, whether it's our grandparents, whether it's a mentor. Like, where do you see kind of your superpowers from your work coming from? Is there an individual that you can say like, "Hey, this person helped me to create this, and this is where I really excel because of this person"?
There's multiple, really. So from a work ethic standpoint, a lot of that comes from my mother, right? She was an RN in Titusville at the hospital for 40 years. She was the nurse manager, right? So when somebody called off or they didn't have enough folks, she was the one that had to deal with it, right? So I mean seeing that growing up, and that came from her father, right? That's where she got it from my grandfather on my mom's side. So my grandpa and my mom was where that came from, and then the artistic side of me, and the music side and the songwriting and the anything. I like to write. When I was younger, I used to love to write, let's call them short stories or small books, short stories, really. So I used to love to do that kind of stuff. All that came from my dad. Yeah. Rich.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
He's a great guy.
That's why I'm grinning over here because
Yeah,
I know both your parents.
Yeah.
And I love to hear because
that came from
I didn't
dad.
know all this.
Oh yeah. My father, again, was always playing music when I was young. He was just very, very talented. He was just good at things, right? So when he was in high school, before he was injured, he was one of the best athletes, right? And everybody tells me this as I'm growing up. Everybody, and then
But by the way, I hate to interrupt because I was telling my boys this. Your dad was almost drafted professionally for baseball,
yes,
correct?
Yes, correct. That's correct. My father was in the midst of, he was one of those high school kids that was in the midst of being recruited, for minor league baseball.
Yeah.
To develop into, yes.
My boys were literally asking me that earlier tonight when I was saying, hey, you were coming over. And they're like, didn't his dad almost play professional baseball? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and it was in his, mid-teens that this was happening, right? So again, different day, right? Things happen differently than they do now. But he was, when he was a freshman, and there wasn't even, again, our area was an area that always had volleyball, right? Which I attribute to Denny Patton.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Mr. Patton.
Yeah, it's a tribute to Denny Patton. Great guy. Also another wonderful person.
Yeah.
But I think I've heard the story from many folks, not my father, right? But other folks that, when he was a freshman, when freshmen didn't play sports back in the early 70s, it just didn't happen, right? The freshmen sat and the upperclassmen played, that, he started on the team that went and played at States as a freshman in volleyball. And then, he got to play varsity basketball, and he got to play varsity football.
But his sport was baseball, wasn't it?
Yes, baseball was the sport he was most
How did he do
renowned
that in volleyball? Because weren't they
he
both spring
played-
sports?
Honestly, back then, I don't know how the setup was. I do know that he played a lot of summer ball,
Okay.
right? So,
He was
schools
getting exposure through
Yes.
that.
Yes, but and then he had an injury, right? So he wasn't able to follow through on that stuff.
Yeah.
But he, after that, I just remember being a kid, and so he was good. He was good at sports, and everybody knew that. Kind of, a lot of people knew my dad, and then he would just pick up instruments and play them. Like he was playing when I was a kid, he used to play the lap steel, and then all of a sudden just picked up a banjo and started playing the banjo, and then he was always playing in bands, singing and playing bass. And when I was a kid, I remember him playing around on a guitar, and so
Could he just hear it in his head?
yes, he was an ear player totally, so he could just hear it and then mess around with the instrument enough, and next thing you knew, he could play it. Yeah. So that, fortunately, and don't get me wrong, there's lots of hours of having to work through things to make it happen. I realize that now as I'm older, right? But
Yeah.
he was always able to make that happen, and the bands were good. It was pretty good.
I've heard him.
Right.
So I guess kind of my last business question is similar to what you asked me, but I'm going to give you some parameters, right? So if you weren't doing what you do now as a plant manager, and I'm going to take away your music outlet too, can't be a professional musician, what would it be that Ryan Ray would be doing at this point in life?
Oh, man. So there was a period of time when I was young when I wanted to be, a very brief period where I wanted, of all things, I wanted to be an attorney. So contemplated that a lot when I was, in high school age, right? What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? But, I had an uncle who was in engineering, and, my Uncle Todd, actually, and that was something that seemed, cool and fun. So I did that, right? But so maybe that, another thing that I've been blessed in life, over the years, our good friend Mike, he also a really entrepreneurial guy, driven guy, right? And people say, or one of the sayings is, you're kind of the average of the 4 or 5 people that you spend the most time with over time, right?
Yeah.
And he has definitely helped kind of push me and introduce me to folks, right, that may at some point in time been out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right. Which is in a good, so it's all been a good thing. And me and my wife are fortunate to do some things on the real estate side. And a lot of that came from relationships that we built through Mike and through people that we met through him. So, I'd love to say some type of small business owner.
Yeah.
Right. I really think it would be something like that. I really do. Everybody's a little bit different. I'm not and again, since I've worked in manufacturing so long, right, I kind of take it back to this. I like a little bit of variety when I'm doing things, right? So things that are the same task over and over again, or can be monotonous. You know, those type of jobs sometimes aren't for me. I need to be able to think and problem solve. Like that's what interests me. So yeah, running a small business. Who knows what that business could be, right? But
I think you'd be successful at it, regardless of what it was.
I do. That's probably what I would end up.
Because you're a leader, right? You've done that
I've done
athletically throughout the years that I've known you. You've done that throughout your professional career. And you've surrounded yourself with enough really smart people that if you didn't always know the answer, just like myself, like you were able to figure out how to get the answer
right
by asking other people that may specialize in that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Again, going back to, you know, you're talking the superpowers, meeting folks that help mentor me through, you know, anything from a rental property, right? And what can that turn into? And then what can the next thing be? You know, just being able to meet people to help you do that, realize, oh, never really thought about, never really thought about a house like that or a mortgage like that or, really, really helps. I've been very fortunate in life. Been surrounded by a lot of good people like yourself.
Yeah. Very blessed. So the personal questions. I'm going to do something a little differently tonight than I've ever done before with any of these podcast episodes. I'm going to ask you one personal question. I know I get 3, but then my last 2 are going to be something very different, but very unique, and I think very cool. So first real question is...
Wait, this doesn't involve the lights going off and whipped cream or anything stupid like that.
That's...
Sorry.
Dang it.
Sorry, Mrs. Molly.
We got to... Jay, can you edit this? Because now I have to restart all my questions. He guessed it. No. So my first and only real question is, I'd like to hear more about your wife, Julie. Like who she is, what she does, how you guys met, and like, just like your relationship with her. And then we're going to get into some fun stuff for questions 2 and 3.
Okay. So my wife Julie is amazing. She's an amazing person. So we met, a long time ago now, 2004. We actually technically met before 2004, but 2004 is kind of the beginning.
Yeah.
So
was that when you first started dating?
Yeah.
Then? Okay.
Yep. So she's from Erie. And how we ended up actually meeting, I was playing around town, playing a lot of venues, playing bands and stuff. And I worked at a place called OEM Erie that her cousin, the cousin was much older, but the cousin turned out to be my boss.
Oh, wow.
So that's how this actually happened. So I was working. I started there as an intern when I was in college. So I started at this place as an intern, and I was working in their quality lab. And the quality manager at that time was a woman named Diane Thompson, and it happened to be Julie's cousin. So Diane would, tell the family and stuff that, I got this guy who's, he's out, he's our little local rock star, right? He's out there playing in the bars and stuff. We're going to go see him one of these nights. Do you want to go? So there was a place, it's not there anymore. Back then I think it was called Scorchers.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember Scorchers?
Yeah.
So one night we played a gig at Scorchers, and Julie and her parents came with Diane and Diane's husband, John. So that's the first time I remember ever meeting her. And it was just kind of like, hi, oh, hey, whatever. And then, you can play the show. But fortunately I made a little bit of an impression, right? So at least I think I did. In my mind, I did.
Was it the voice? Was it the guitar? Was it a combo?
You'd have to ask her.
Okay.
You'd have to ask her. But that at that point in time, I had. Thinking back, I had long hair. So yeah. So here I am up there jumping around and twirling around a bunch of long hair that's halfway down my back. Them were the days, right? Back when it was a different color. So after that, every once in a while I would, then I'd recognize her. So then I would see her out at some different places. And, we'd play at Sherlock's, which was a place that's no longer there anymore either. It makes me feel old. But I'd go down, we'd play at Sherlock's a lot. And every once in a while I'd run into her there. All right. And then, what ended up happening is in 2004, it was Diane had a birthday party. Okay. And I'll probably get this wrong, but I think it was her 60th birthday party. And I went to the birthday party, and so did some other people from work. And I remember Julie coming in, and she actually came over and asked if I wanted to sit with her and her, because I was sitting by myself, right? Because the folks I was there with from work, they left, and I was just kind of sitting at the table all by myself, and they invited me over to hang out with them. So after that happened, I asked her out. So that's kind of how we met and the first date materialized and all that kind of stuff. Now she is especially putting up with me. She is the most patient person.
Oh God. More patient than Karen dealing with me.
Well,
Close second. Or?
I can be a handful. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, those of you out there that know me, you know.
Must be the Ryan thing, because I've got the same thing going on with myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Trust me, your dad has given me the look of disappointment before. I've seen it.
I've seen it a couple times too.
That's right. I deserved it when it happened. I deserved it. Yeah, girl, I totally deserved it, girl. But like I said, I can be a handful. No, most patient person. So for almost 20 years, she worked at the school at the Gertrude Barber Center at the not at one of the group homes, but at the school with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that Karen's actually working with the Barber Center now?
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
she
fantastic.
started that probably about 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
That's like her passion in life.
Yeah.
So.
That Julie did that for a long time, and actually she quit when we moved to Buffalo for and that's a whole other scenario, right? Like she's just been wonderful throughout the years. I come home and it's like, honey, I think we got to move to Buffalo.
Yeah.
She's like, whatever we got to do, huh?
Well, that's what makes a great, kind of co-pilot, right, in life, whether it's your business partner, your spouse, your wife, your husband, whatever it may be, is they support you throughout it, no matter whatever you're going through at that moment, and unconditionally, right? They know that this is what you need to do at that point, and oftentimes it comes as a sacrifice for them personally.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? I mean, everything we have, to this day, we have the property management business and stuff, and she works, right? She works full time right now. She worked at the Barber Center for a long time when we were up in New York. We had some friends. She worked at a barbecue restaurant, and then she's worked at Lowe's now for several years too. It's and in addition to that, she handles the bulk of the property management stuff.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, a lot, if not all of what we have is, because, we're a team, but I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for her.
Dude.
Seriously. She's wonderful.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
That's right, man.
So for questions 2 and 3, I want to do something fun.
Yeah. What's that?
You brought your guitar.
I did. You asked me to bring I brought the guitar today.
I'm going to go grab it. Okay.
All right.
So Jay, you're going to do your little editing thing where you're like, make it look like it's happening really quickly. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get him another beer, and I'm going to get him his guitar. And when we come back, you're going to hear Ryan Ray. Hey guys, welcome back. So questions 2 and 3 are going to be a little different, a little unique. I asked you to bring your guitar tonight, Ryan, and I've always enjoyed listening to you play, whether it was at a house party in college, a bar, or whatever it may be. And by the way, everybody, this is the guy that did the song for this podcast. So I think if you could just give a little bit of that. When I first kind of reached out to you, I said, hey, a little bit of the old Hank. sound, but
It's the Hank parody.
Yeah.
It's parody.
give us a little bit of that first.
Lawless country people are real close family. Lately, some of my kinfolk don't get around to good, you see. Guess that's gonna win.
Oh, hold on. We gotta edit that. What's the second part?
All these country people
Oh,
are real close family. Lately, some of my kinfolks
Don't get around.
around to good you see. And when that doctor asked me,
Son,
how'd you get in this condition?
says they saw bones. I'm just carrying on. Oh,
Family tradition.
I wanna know, Doc, why do you think
Boom, boom,
I got this
boom,
pain in
boom,
my joints?
boom, 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 boom.
Years working hard in this life that's too short. Stop and think it over. Try to put yourself in my position. Lord,
Hey, Sawbones, I'm just carrying on an old
family tradition.
So one of the things I've always thought about when I heard you sing, Ryan, was I always heard different people. I've heard Eddie Vedder. Recently, I've heard Chris Stapleton in your voice. I just feel like you kind of have like this very mesmerizing voice. Can you do either of those two artists? And because I think you could nail both of them.
Yeah, we can do a little. Let's see, Chris. We'll Pearl Jam first, right? So.
Sheets of empty canvas, long wanted sheets of clear. Lay spread out before me as her body once did. Five horizons revolve around the sun as the earth to the sun. Now the air I've tasted and breathed has taken a turn. And all I told her was everything. Oh, I know she gave me all that she wore. Now my bitter hand cradles broken glass. Oh, why was everything? All the pictures held, all been washed in black, tattooed everything.
Love it. Little Stapleton, and then you kind of do what you want to do.
Stapled in here.
Well, just look down, give me 40 days instead of 5. could not pay. Said what price soon be home. Cross the line and when you're wrong. 40 days, shotguns and barbed wire fences. 40 nights sitting listening to that midnight train on Memphis. Yeah, I screwed a bunch of it up. That's okay.
No, dude. They can hear it. They can see it. So give us, I mean, a little bit more of like one of your favorite songs to play, just like who you are. If there's like some classic Ryan Ray song. What are your favorite songs to play? Yeah, you got to have one,
there's
right?
a ton. Like right now, we're doing so much new stuff, which is awesome. So that the band that we just started, Ray and the County Kind, again, we're doing some original country that's, Southern rock-esque, right? So, yeah, so here, I'll do one of those. Well, I'm heading back to the land I come from. Some old friends tonight. Time to reminisce, have drinks, talk shit. Laugh about the parties I used to be legit. Cause I'm almost sick and almost taste the beer. Can't wait to see the neon light. A few more miles in a room full of smiles. A couple shot glasses filled with daylight. I need a bar stoop to sit on tonight. Float the whiskey river till the morning time. Couple good friends, you had to do it up right. I need me to die by tonight, yeah. Well, the jukebox is playing my favorite tunes, and there's a band later on tonight. Until that time, we'll hear some honky-tonk drama. A little bit of Zeppelin and a lot of Nirvana. A few familiar faces come strolling on in. These boys are a hell of a sight. From the first high five, we tear up this vibe. They'll have to drag us out of here before daylight. I need a bar stoop to sit on tonight. Float the whiskey river till the morning time. Couple good friends, you had to do it up right. I need me and die by tonight, yeah. Well, I ain't much for the dance club scene. You know it don't do much for me. I prefer dive in the countryside. Well, from the back roads you need a 4-wheel drive. By and large, there's no cover charge. You always get in for free. You can always get a beer, hear the songs you wanna hear, and catch up with your friends that you never see. I need a bar stoop to sit on tonight. Float the whiskey river till the morning time. Couple good friends, you had to do it up right. I need me a dive bar tonight, yeah.
Wow. All right.
Thank you.
One more before we go into the rest of the podcast here. So, I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan.
Oh man,
It's my favorite band of all time. Just finish me off with a little Pink Floyd.
man, I normally play this on the fiddle.
What do you think? I wish you were here, or you think, oh, there it is.
So you think you can tell well, heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from coast to rail, smile from a veil? Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to trade your heroes for ghosts, hot ashes for trees, hot air for cool breeze, cold comfort for change? Did you exchange a walk on power and a wall for a lead role in a cage?
I want to harmonize with you in the chorus. Harmony, J. Harmony.
See if I get the chords right this time. I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old ground. But have we found the same old fears? I wish you were here.
Woo! All right.
So I screwed that all up too, but that's fun.
It's all good, dude. It's Ryan Ray, folks. And seriously, check him out. His
Ray in the
upcoming...
check us out, Ray in the County Kind.
And how can they find you, by the way?
So you can follow us on Facebook, right? So if you go onto Facebook, we are Ray in the County Kind. You'll be able to look us up in the search. Also, I also have another band. It's a bluegrass band. It's one of the joys of my life. I get to play music with my father.
The Chain Gang.
Yeah, the Chain Gang. So if you're on Facebook, check us out. It's the Chain Gang of Northwest PA. All right. And then, I also play in a band in Buffalo, playing a classic rock band in Buffalo still too. That one's called Red Sky Night. So again, check us out on Facebook too. That's Red Sky Night. So if you happen to be in Buffalo, come out and see us play. You like the bluegrass? Every summer, come on out. Playing lots of gigs. And then, very recently here, Ray in the County Kind, bringing some Americana country to the area.
Awesome. All right. You heard it here, guys. So we're going to get repositioned here and we'll rejoin you in a couple minutes. Okay. Thanks, guys. Ryan, thank you. That was awesome.
Oh, man. Thanks for having me.
Dude.
It's fantastic.
We're not done yet. We got a couple more things to do. Okay.
All right.
All my boys play travel baseball. So we kind of throw a little bit of baseball into this. We call it the Sawbones 7th inning shoe stretch. All right. I asked you to bring or wear one of your favorite pairs of shoes, or at least a pair of shoes that have some meaning, a story behind them. So let's hear what you're wearing and let's hear your story.
So I'm wearing cowboy boots. So this is, they have become my favorite footwear, which I don't know how that happened in my life, but it did. So, it's one of those things where, I don't know, maybe a couple years ago, Burroughs, he's like, have you ever tried cowboy boots? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And it doesn't seem like something I'm going to. He's like, no, you should really try them. He tells me how comfortable they are.
He wears cowboy boots?
Occasionally.
I've never seen Mike in cowboy boots, but
yeah, no. He's definitely got some cowboy boots. Okay. Maybe he watched Yellowstone a couple times. You know, but
he's got a thing for Kevin Costner, right?
No, it was great advice because one day I actually was like, you know what? He's telling me how comfortable these things are. So I went and I got a pair.
Where'd you get them at?
At the Boot Barn.
Okay.
Got them at the Boot Barn. And they are the most comfortable thing. I mean, it's like
Really?
it's like they hug your feet.
I was gonna say they do not look comfortable.
Totally comfortable. It's
Does it take a while? I mean,
not really. I mean, broken in, they definitely feel better broken in, but no, I mean, right off the bat, like they are not what you would think. You think they would be like stiff and hard on your feet, and not at all. Not at all. I don't know what it is about the technology.
do you have special inserts put in there?
No. They're really soft inside, so your feet mold to it.
Are you going to sprain your ankles in that, or do they tape?
Well, yeah, I
mean,
try
because
not
you have
to.
weak ankles. So.
Well, I pretty much sprained my ankles doing everything. So, yeah, did it once when I was sleeping. I'm not even sure how the hell that happened. So I don't see myself playing any pickup basketball in them or anything, although they're comfortable enough to.
Well, that's interesting because we have the Sawbones Challenge coming up in a little bit, and you're going to need to play basketball in them.
Oh, well.
Sorry, sneak peek, but
but yeah. So I ended up. I really enjoy a pair of cowboy boots now. They're much more comfortable than my sneakers.
I've never had a pair. Do I think I should?
You should try. You only live once, man.
Yeah. Could I pull them off?
What's that?
Could I pull them off?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can pull them off.
You can totally pull 'em off.
Under scrubs, you think?
Oh yeah. But don't you have to put the booties on?
I don't really ever put any booties on because I keep my I wear Crocs when I'm operating, like the ones without holes in them.
Right. So wait, you're worried about the cowboy boots not being comfortable when you're wearing Crocs?
Rubber. Yeah, they're super comfortable.
Yeah. So think about it. If that is comfortable, like, oh, dude, this is leather and cushion, brother.
Hey, I'm all in. I like the look of them for sure. I've always been like, man, when guys wear cowboy boots, I'm like that those dudes are like doing it right. I just never thought I could pull it off. Plus, I was always like because I have like very flat feet, thinking that they would be super uncomfortable. But
yeah. I mean, and when I run and everything, I gotta have special running shoes and all that type of crap now. For it to feel not cause problems with the
but you're not running those.
The aforementioned, the ankle,
the weak ankles.
Yeah,
you're not having Rick Gilberto tape your ankles up before you go out for a run.
No. I haven't. Last time I tried to call Randy Savitsky, give me a tape job. He didn't answer.
That was our volleyball coach, and Rick Gilberto was our basketball coach. But as always, I'm wearing a pair of Jordans, Jordan 1s. These are the taxis. So Luca, my youngest, all of my boys love the Jordan shoes. But one of the funniest things was like, oh, I'm trying to figure out all the names of the shoes. He's like, oh, those are the taxis. I'm like, oh, yeah, they kind of look like they'd be taxis. He's like, no, those are the taxis. I'm like, well, what's the name of them? He's like, the taxis. I'm like, seriously? He's like, that is the name of them. And I looked them up, and sure enough. But I wore them because tonight is like a Maplewood night, right?
Yeah, black.
So you got the black and gold. I brought out the old polyester shooting shirt, which is, by the way, I told Ryan, this is a size medium. It's like a size 40, 42 chest. It's been 15 years since I've been a size, probably 20 years since I've been a size 40, 42 chest, or a size medium of anything.
Yeah.
It's like more of a size medium on me. It's tight. And
I could probably fit that around my neck and wear it like an ascot.
Well, for the next part of this, when we go outside to do the Sawbones Challenge, maybe I'll have you wear this. So, but anyways, Rye, it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. Love all of your successes, both professionally, musically, personally. It's always good. You're one of those guys that I cannot see you for 6 months to a year, but every time that I see you, we just kind of pick up where we left off. And we've done that for the past 15 to 20 years. So thank you for being a great friend and for always being there. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, dude, Very proud of you, Ryan. I'm very proud of you. Thanks for having me come out. This was a lot of fun today, man.
Yeah. We're not done, folks. Stick around. We're going to do the Sawbones challenge as always next. And then we'll come back. We'll do our little conclusion. And then when we're done with that, we'll give you a little bit of a preview as to the next week's guests and so on and so forth. So stick around. Main event, Sawbones challenge. And by the way, this one is a little bit like, I generally don't get competitive when it comes to this, but I'm going to get a little competitive with this one because it's the shooting cards from the Maplewood 1996, 1997. I'm going to preface
this right now. I have not, I have since it's not Family First anymore. I don't even know what that's called anymore. That's how long it's been.
First, I don't know.
Yeah, the last time I dribbled or shot a basketball, I think was probably 2004. So it's
perfect.
Yes.
And you'll still probably kick my butt.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Can I go under hand?
See you in a little bit. Yeah, you can go under hand any way you want to do it. We'll see you in the field.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
All right, folks. Sawbones challenge. This is the night version. Right?
Yep.
So Ryan Ray, ready? He knows the rules. By the way, Coach Gilberto, this was your duo back in the day. All I can say is you didn't let us shoot enough threes, and we're going to show you why you should have let us shoot more threes, okay?
Oh, no.
Jay, you're going to want to edit that one. Wait, whoa. What are you doing, mister? I love my cowboy boots.
I do, but they're not made for basketball.
Go, Lou. Get it, Lou. Donk. Oh, there we go. Uh-oh.
Sorry, I thought that was nothing but net.
There it is. 1-1. Ooh, he's doing a little sidestep.
Gotta get a little bit of
Ooh, I'm
movement in
telling
there.
you, this guy right here, he had this move. When he didn't get called for a travel, it was,
Yeah. I had a quick first step.
it was too quick for a lot of the refs because they would
Shoot, now he's feeling it.
Uh-oh, we got 2-2. 2-2.
With the assist.
This is going to be a good one, Lou. It's going to be a tight one.
Oh no, that's bad for him.
Oh! He's very good. There it is.
Oh no.
By the way, 4-3. He takes like private, like shooting lessons. Oh, there it is. Oh!
Can't stand it. That's fine.
I'd play you one-on-one, but I don't feel like getting my ankles broken
Oh.
or...
Dude.
Sawbones challenge. Good buddies, Ryan Ray, Ryan Molly. We'll see you in a little bit down in the basement, but thanks for tuning in. All right, everybody. We're back from the Sawbones challenge. It was a little dark tonight, but it is what it is. So
I close my eyes when I shoot anyway.
You're like Jordan with Hakeem Olajuwon out there, closing the eyes, be like, "Hey, Hakeem." So, anyways, again, want to thank you again for taking time out of your schedule, time away from Julie. It's been an honor having you on, listening to you play guitar, just sharing stories. And I mean, we didn't even touch into like a lot of the stories from the past, but like just a lot of good stuff and a lot of good memories. And in closing, I'm going to ask you kind of the question that you asked me earlier, but where do you see yourself in, 10 to 15 years?
10 to 15 years. Well, 10 to 15 years. What I really think will be happening is, I think I'll still be involved locally on the business side. Probably won't be doing what I'm doing today. Hopefully 10 to 15 years from now, I'm giving a lot more guitar and fiddle lessons, to people. And
Can I be one of your students?
You absolutely can be. Yeah, absolutely can be. But yeah, that's what I'm. 10 to 15 years from now, if AI doesn't take over creation of music and artistic things, at that point, I want to have a little studio in my house, which I currently have, right? But I want to focus on that more. I want to be able to spend more time doing that because I enjoy it so much, and I want to help younger creative people and younger artists to learn what now is kind of becoming I don't want to call it a lost art, right? But there's so much digital stuff out there on the music side as opposed to doing it with the wood and steel of you name it, the mandolin, the guitar, the fiddle, the percussion kit. So I want to try to help maintain that in our community.
Well,
That's
Ryan,
what I want to be. 10, 15 years, I want to be helping that.
When you were playing earlier and you're like a little critical of yourself, you're like, I missed the chord progression here or there. It's like,
I messed a ton of stuff up.
But
on
Ryan,
the spot, right?
Yeah, on the spot. You didn't know I was going to ask you. By the way, none of this is rehearsed. He doesn't know any of the questions I'm asking him.
No,
I don't know any of the questions he's asking me.
A couple of those songs I have, the
You haven't
Pearl
played in
Jam
probably
song
15,
I
20
have-
years.
Yeah, I haven't played that Pearl Jam song in like 10 years.
So, kudos, dude. So thanks again.
Yeah, wish you were here. I told you I normally play it on the fiddle. Anymore.
Next time, we're going to have you
we'll
on
bring
the
the fiddle.
Okay. But thanks again. Love you, bud.
Yeah.
Love all you're doing. Huge supporter. I'm definitely going to come out, check out your new band. I was, did my family tell you that I wanted to make it down to Luke Antino's?
They did.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. That was a blast.
We were
that
out
was
of
a
town.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot
Would
of
you be
fun.
willing to do that? I hate to put you on spot on camera, but like, would you be willing to do that with your band, like inside for maybe like a winter little fall thing?
Yeah. If there's, I'd be willing to do that.
Or
for
if,
sure.
if we could do it outside again, like a
Yeah.
little fall.
Yeah.
Love to get
absolutely.
you. Love local, love supporting local, especially people I know and love, and I'm a huge fan of you.
Yeah,
so.
no, that was a ton of fun. That was a ton of fun. It was
My
you had a
sister
nice
did
spot.
get videos, by the way, so it
Oh,
was
did
like
she?
I get to
Nice.
see your dad there in the video. And
Yeah, no, he's still picking like always, man. Tearing
But-
that banjo up.
thanks again, bud. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. As always, I ask, please subscribe. Please leave your comments, questions, suggestions, recommendations, whatever you may have, right? And stay tuned. We've got a lot of cool things coming up. And by the way, in a little bit, we're going to give you the teaser for next week's episode and guest. So thanks as always. Have a great night. Take care.
I remember walking out of my condo to come meet you guys, and your car smelled awful. And it was like, what the heck is going, like, why does your car smell so bad? And something had happened with your tail lights on the way down. And so like your
Oh, my
blinkers weren't
gosh.
working or anything. So like for the last hour and a half of the drive, you had to like rest your foot on the brake pedal.
I totally forgot about that. Because I think it was like nighttime too.
Yeah, it
right?
was.
So
It was
I
like
wanted
11
people to be able to-
o'clock, like when you pulled in, and it was, yeah, you had rode the brake pedal lightly just to be able to keep your light on. And hey, you got there.
We figured it out, right? Country
Yeah.
boys figure out solutions. I mean, I needed new brakes when I got back to Pennsylvania, but
Yep. So when we went to Dave Matthews, that was my first Dave Matthews concert. I don't know if it was your first Dave Matthews concert.
hard to remember because I've been to so many.
Yeah. But
But the next one that you went to kind of felt like your first one too, because you probably didn't remember too much from the
yes,
the
and,
first one.
and this played a a starring role in our stories from that night.
Three River Stadium too.
Yeah.
Right before it was imploded. So, and I have to attribute a lot of this to just like the basketball court. And I don't mean like the Maplewood basketball court. I mean the Molly Pavilion, the court that we had at our house. And there was some very aggressive, heated, drop down, physical confrontations that occurred with either my buddies or my sister, Kristen, who's, 2.5, almost 3 years older than me.
I was like, God, what am I going to do for this shoe thing? So I just snatched it away and brought it
This
with me.
section of the podcast has quickly grown to become like one of the most sentimental, like heartfelt sections. Like when I first started it, simply started it because I'm a shoe guy, especially a Jordan shoe guy.
Yeah.
But I was like, there's usually stories, right? Behind meaningful things in people's lives. And to me, there's always a story behind every pair of shoes.
Well, I have loved some fishing in the outdoors where I'm free. It's where I spent my time before I hurt my hip and my knee. When that doctor asked me, son, how'd you get in this condition? I says, hey, soft bones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. I wanna know, doc, why do you think I got some pain in my joints from years of playing hard in this life that's too short? When that doctor asked me, son, how'd you get in this condition? I says, hey, soft bones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me all about it, doc.